I think people were never aware of, starting with just the fact that their vote doesn't count.
A great deal of Michael Moore's popularity comes from the fact that there simply isn't anyone on the left saying outrageous and unfair things about the right, because the right so much dominates the media. The Ann Coulters, the Bill O'Reillys, the Sean Hannitys, who really make very shallow, very aggressive arguments.
We expect every American to support our military, and if they can't do that, to shut up.
After 35 days of protests and confusion, the Supreme Court rules in a straight party vote not to have further recounts, giving George Bush the presidency.
I think we all know that Bush is not legitimate. I think Republicans know it too. And this has been a cancer eating at American politics ever since. There are people who are primed to see this as us against them, and if the religious fundamentalists in the Bush administration are them, then I guess Michael Moore is us.
I give you Michael Moore!
In the campaign leading up to the 2000 election, Michael Moore backs Ralph Nader, the Green Party candidate.
So he throws himself into the 2000 presidential election. And he calls Bush and Gore Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Last week, in what they called a debate, I think the moderator summed it all up for me. Welcome, Governor Bush, and welcome, Vice President Bush, Gore.
No matter how else you feel about the Supreme Court decision or anything else, okay, the Nader vote in Florida lost Gore the election. Okay? It's really that simple.
What's your take on being pegged the spoiler in 2000?
That's an arrogant manifestation of the Democrats thinking that they own their voters. It's very anti-democratic, of course.
Michael abandons his friend Ralph Nader and his hope for a third party in America.
Ralph decided to go and campaign in the swing states. And so a lot of us got off his bus at that point because we weren't going to do that.
You know, when he said he asked Nader to pull out of the race, that was all BS. I was working on the campaign. He was sitting there in the super rallies up until the last week.
He finds 100 different ways to disown it, but that's what he did, and guess what? It was great for him. And here's why. If Gore is in the White House, fundamentally, Michael Moore has no career.
In 2002, Michael Moore's film Bowling for Columbine catapults him to stardom. His Oscar-winning film takes on America's love affair with guns. It grosses $58 million worldwide, making Michael Moore the cultural icon of the left.
On a certain level, Bowling for Columbine is also all about being the opposition to this guy who's in the White House, this right-wing Republican guy who's in the White House who likes guns.
I started the film with the attitude that the solution to our problem is that we needed more gun control laws. When we went to Canada, I became very uncomfortable with that position because there's 7 million guns that are owned by private citizens in Canada.
The guns that Canadians have are long-bore, single-shot hunting rifles. And virtually no one is killed in this country by long-bore, single-shot hunting rifles. You can't take them into the 7-Eleven with you inconspicuously. The guns that kill people are handguns. And handguns are very strictly controlled in Canada.
Gun control is just such a crushingly obvious solution to the problems that America faces. Furthermore, it's the solution which has been adopted uniformly throughout the industrialized world, you know, Europe, Asia, Canada. So obviously I thought that was the direction he was going. And yet at some point the movie takes this bizarre little turn where he says, oh, it can't be just about gun laws because, oh, look at Canada, they've got tons of guns. So it has to be about, what? The entire history of the United States dating back to slavery.
So for him, American society is a big wasteland of racism and exploitation, corruption and greed, a truly dysfunctional society.
So how do we fix the problem? On the one hand, we have a simple legislative solution. Take away people's guns. What Moore winds up plumping in favor of is this sort of cultural transformation of American society. The thought that somehow, if Americans overcame their vestigial fear of African Americans, that somehow gun violence would decline, or that a cultural transformation could lead to a decline in gun violence, strikes me as being a deeply implausible view of things, and it ascribes far too much power to the culture.
From my cold, dead hands.
At one point, Michael blames former National Rifle Association President Charlton Heston for contributing to America's gun violence.
You can't defend Charlton Heston from my cold, dead hands. At the same time, going into his house, as he did in Bowling for Columbine, wheedling his way in.
We're making a documentary about, the whole gun issue, and I'm a member of the NRA.
And then to have the men, start calling him names in the middle of the interview, accusing him of doing something which he had not done, which was to go to Flint 3 weeks after the death of the 6-year-old girl and give a speech for the NRA. He did not do that. He was not in Flint again for months and showed up there as part of a 3-state Republican get out the vote rally. But that footage conveniently fit in to the film at that point to make a different point. And that's just dishonest.
Did you feel it was being at all insensitive to the fact that this community had just gone through this?
Actually, I wasn't aware of that at the time we came. We came and did an early morning rally and went on to wherever we were going.
You didn't know at the time when you were there that this killing had happened. Had you known, would you have not
Would I have canceled the...
Yeah.
I don't...
What he does in the end with Charlton Heston, it's not sad, it's mean. It just the guy was losing his mind at that point. It just doesn't really make any sense.
This is her. Mr. Head, please don't leave. Mr. Heston, please, take a look at her. This is the girl.
When Michael Moore attacks the American right to bear arms, he helps to kickstart a new cottage industry, books, websites, and documentaries dedicated to attacking Michael Moore.
He was an easy person for the right wing to attack. There's so much silly stuff, so many factual inaccuracies, so many bizarre conspiracy theories in Michael Moore's work.
It started because we felt betrayed. We believed in his words, we believed in his work, and then he came out with the movie Bowling for Columbine, and we found out that much of it was invented. Our goal is not... Okay, there's a small amount of animosity towards Mike himself, because he just, after investigating him, you find out he's just not a good guy.
Michael Wilson's film, Michael Moore Hates America, is causing a stir in the conservative media. Wilson talks to the people in the bank who gave Michael Moore a gun in Bowling for Columbine.
Michael Moore just showed up at your bank one day and opened an account and got a gun that you happen to have hanging out in the vault.
No, that's not exactly the way the story went. I was contacted by a gentleman in the Traverse area and said that he was doing a story on unique businesses across America. I told him that you would have to come in, we would have to do a background check on you, then we would send your gun to a licensed firearm dealer, and he was very adamant about getting the gun that day.
He said to them, if you want to be a part of this film and sort of get this publicity for your, for your bank and things like that, we really need to be able to show on film that you do get the gun. And they said, well, I guess we could have it shipped down here.
They spent 30 days setting this up ahead of time, having meetings with the bank president and the people that were going to be involved, and laying out how they wanted it to go.
He came over and he did the filming, and he was with us probably an hour and a half, I would say. He staged it where he went up and said, I want to open an account. He said, well, how many guns do you have in your vault? And I said, well, I think we carry around 500 guns at any given time in our vault.
500 of these you have in your vault?
In our vault.
Wow.
300 miles away. And he was told that.
Okay, thank you very much. Wow.
He probably wanted people to believe that any one of the tellers in any of the 26 branches at that time could just go back and get you a gun.
If I'm going to commit a crime, I'm not going to spend $5 grand to do it. I'm not going to leave all of my information with the bank and the FBI and then go, oh, by the way, you know that gun that has the serial number on it that you gave me for free? Yeah, I'm going to use this one.
In many ways, we'd like to thank Michael Moore because he really spurred a lot of conservatives to do something and get back into filmmaking because they realized, we can't let the popular culture just belong totally to one side.
And it's the one thing the Republicans